Sunrise bleeds over Beacon Island. Gulls scream and tear at something in the tide. A child's sandal snags on coral. A small blue hand is wedged in weed. The rescue ship saw a signal, then saw what the sea tried to hide. You're about to watch the Batavia, a shipwreck, a mutiny, and a weeks-long massacre on bare sand. Hundreds stranded, no fresh water, command in chaos, a mutiny already moving underfoot. Coins and bones still come up from these dunes. A confession carved into wood survives. They thought the wreck was the worst part. It wasn't. To understand the slaughter, we go back weeks before the reef. The year is 1628, and the Dutch East India Company runs the richest trade on earth by one rule: profit before mercy. Their justice is public and swift. Their ships are floating cities, soldiers, merchants, craftsmen, women and children, stacked into timber and sail. Batavia, brand new, carries fine textiles, wine, powder, and a sealed chest marked for the high government in Asia. Silver? Yes, but rumors spread it holds something more. Francisco Pelzart commands, precise and proud, but sick, and often below decks. Above him in the rigging, skipper Arian Jacobs steers with a seasoned eye and a long memory for slights. Between them, tension. Then there's Geronimus Cornelis, an apothecary with charm, losing faith in both church and company, a man who talks about freedom with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Here's the first domino. A high-born passenger, Lucretia Johns, becomes the center of a scandal. Misconduct on a dark deck, a face pushed into the rail. Whispers of assault drift through the lower gun deck like smoke. Pelzart blames Jacobs for lax discipline. Jacobs blames Pelzart for weakness. Cornelich sees opportunity. He moves at night, quiet conversations at the stern. Talk of a captain who doesn't deserve command. Of treasure that would set a small crew free if only the ship changed hands. The plan is simple and terrifying. Spark disorder. Arrest Pelzart. Run the Batavia to a hidden coast and start new lives as pirates. But plans need timing, and timing needs chaos. Meanwhile, the convoy scatters in storms. Escorts vanish into wet gray horizons. The Batavia presses west into a hard, empty ocean. Vigilance slips. Watches are missed. A lookout is punished for speaking out of turn. A quiet signal, 2 lanterns, then 1, passes between Jacobs and Cornelis on a moonless night. Most don't notice. Those who do, keep their mouths shut. Ordinary passengers feel the mood change first. A mother keeps her child close on the 'tween deck. A carpenter hides a short knife in his shoe. A cabin boy learns to walk the windward side of arguments. The company teaches order, but fear teaches silence. On the quarterdeck, Pelzart coughs into a cloth and stares at the compass. Below, Cornelis trades medicine for loyalty. What nobody knows at the time, they're drifting toward a scatter of reefs the Dutch haven't charted. The Houtman Aberlahos, low islands that barely break the surface. The sea is calm by day, black by night. The sound of surf, there then gone, gets written off as wind. The sealed chest stays locked in the upper cabin, but a rumor multiplies it into 3, then 5. A sailor swears he saw it moved. He didn't sleep well after. The company's world is built on 2 things: water and rules. As both thin out, nerves fray. On deck, Jacobs snaps at a helmsman and misreads a swell. Below, Cornelis promises that soon none of this will matter. He lets the word freedom hang a heartbeat longer than he should. Freedom from the company, freedom from law. Then, one watch before dawn, the horizon acts strange. The sea looks pale like milk. The bow lifts. Someone shouts, "It's not wind, it's surf." The reef waits in the dark. The shock is physical. Timber screams. The hull punches onto coral and stops dead. Men fly. Barrels burst. Lanterns swing and spill sparks. Then the next breaker lifts the ship and slams her again, snapping the mainmast like a bone. Orders collide with prayers. The Batavia is no longer a ship. She's a box breaking apart in a white roar. Before dawn hardens into light, Pelzert fights for order. He calls boats away, posts men to cut rigging, to sound the holds, to find the leaks that won't stop. Jacobs moves fast at the rail, choosing the strongest oarsman, loading bread and water skins. He says it's to seek help, to make for land and return with rescue. He picks his men. Pelzert joins him. In the chaos, they shove off. The longboat rises, vanishes into the trough, then is only a dark smear heading east. On deck, those left behind feel something colder than spray. The captains are gone. Day reveals the trap. Low islands, a few dunes, no trees. Guano, rock, crawling crabs. The nearest speck takes a name, Beacon Island, because someone has to call it something. Another to the north, Traders, earns its name later. To the west, a longer strip of sand waits in a pale band at the horizon. Between them, nothing friendly. And worst of all, no fresh water. They ferry survivors to the nearest shoals on makeshift rafts and shattered boats. Children wrapped in sailcloth, women lifted over the side, handed down to shoulders in the surf. A soldier swims with a rope between his teeth and coughs up blood after. The breakers keep rolling, breaking the Batavia into smaller and smaller pieces. Each wave takes a plank, a life, a hope. Cornelius is calm. He counts faces, walks the line of the stranded, talks softly. He suggests gathering all weapons for safekeeping. Spontoons, muskets, swords. Hand them over before panic turns them into accidents. He has lists in his head, men likely to challenge him, men easy to use, men who can be made to need him. He orders the spirits cast tapped for the wounded, then has it spilled. He calls for the water skins to be inventoried, then has them moved under guard and thinned with brine. Control begins with a thirst you can't quench. A mother on Beacon cradles her child and holds out an empty cup. A baker who can't swim stares at the ship's broken stern and whispers the Lord's Prayer to the wrong rhythm. A soldier sits on the sand and fishes a small knife from his shoe, the blade dull, the handle wrapped in waxed cloth. He slides it back. Not yet. Boats push to other islets with instructions that sound like hope. Weeby Hayes, a soldier with a practical mind, gets told to take his men to the water island and find wells. Cornelius knows no chart marks water here. He thinks he's sending them to vanish. Hayes takes a dozen, 2 pikes, and stubbornness. Night brings the first vanishings. A sick man lies down on the lee side of Beacon and doesn't get up. 2 witnesses to the arguments on the wreck volunteer to check a line of flotsam and capsize their small boat. No one swims that far in that current by accident, they say later. It's marked as mischance. It's not. By dawn, Cornelius calls a meeting. No more company. He says it like a kindness. He proposes a council to ration food, to assign tasks, to keep order until help returns. They swear oaths to him instead of to men gone in the longboat. It feels like structure. It is a noose. Meanwhile, on the long strip to the west, Hayes finds shallow pits that taste of metal and salt, then deeper, water that's nearly sweet. He finds birds too stupid to fear men, their nests heavy with eggs. He posts lookouts, counts their food, and marks the beach with smoke. Back on Beacon, driftwood washes ashore with messages cut into it, pleas, names, dates. One scrap gets saved in a pocket, then passed hand to hand. It's proof that the fear isn't a rumor. It's a record. No water means obedience. Obedience means the killings move from accident to policy. Cornelius watches Beacon fall quiet. Then he glances toward the smoke on the horizon and decides whose future gets to arrive. It starts with lists. Not written, whispered. Cornelius names the loud ones, the loyal ones. The men who might still think in terms of company law. He calls them to the waterline in the morning and assigns scouting runs. They step into a canoe that sits too low. By dusk, only the canoe returns. The sea absorbs the explanation. Executions wear disguises. A pair of brothers argue near the ration line and tumble into the surf, while hands hold them under. At night, someone's throat opens in the lee of a dune. The body doesn't wash back because rocks keep it down. Children vanish because they remember faces, words, the order of events. Cornelius says it's mercy. He keeps his inner circle small, fed, armed, and drunk just enough to obey. Lucretia Johns becomes leverage. She was the spark back on the ship. Now she's a prize. Cornelius places her in a hut under guard and calls it protection. He visits, speaks softly, makes promises. The men around him understand the message. He owns beauty. He owns access. He owns fear. Other women get assigned as wives to the killers, rotated as rewards for service. The line between order and appetites dissolves. Ration day turns ritual. People shuffle forward, eyes down. Cornelius watches for a misstep, a raised voice, a glance that lasts too long. Those people stumble. Arms are grabbed. The sea is close enough to finish the lesson. New arrivals from the wreck, late swimmers clinging to beams, crawl onto beacon and crawl straight into the system. They learn quickly, or they don't last a night. His council forces initiations. Hands pushed onto shell edges until palms bleed. Oaths spoken with mouths that taste of copper and salt. One refuses. He's exiled to a sandbar that will vanish with the tide. In the morning, the sandbar keeps its own council. The lesson spreads faster than hunger. Meanwhile, that smoke on the horizon keeps rising and falling. Cornelius reads it as surrender. He thinks Hayes is starving, signaling for terms. He sends a party to finish them. 6 men with knives, a musket, and confidence. They land on the long strip and find stakes in the sand, crude pits, and men who've been practicing with stones. A volley of rocks breaks noses. Pikes jab. The raiders bleed and run. On beacon, shock ripples through the ranks. Someone dared to fight back. Cornelius escalates. He sends twice as many with clearer orders. Kill every man with Hayes. Seize water. Leave the women for later. He keeps his best musketeer back to guard Lucretia because control is layered. The raiders reach Hayes' shore at dawn, yelling to shake nerves. They hit a line of dunes that hides a trench. The first 2 trip and never rise. A musket misfires in the damp. Stones arc like hawks. The retreat turns to a scramble, gear abandoned on the flat. He decides this needs a personal touch. He sails to the long strip with a small detachment, a flag of talk in his hand. Hayes walks out to meet him with a plain spear, wary and steady. Cornelius smiles. He offers unity. Hayes offers a test. He asks for a drink from Cornelius' own skin. Cornelius hesitates. Hayes nods to 2 men in the scrub. They rush. In seconds, the tyrant who made an island kneel is on his face, wrists twisted, mouth full of grit. Hayes ties him with sail rope and walks him back through the pits he dug. That's the moment the story tilts. Back on beacon, the council phrase. Some want a bargain, others plan to keep killing until the water works, by fear alone. A cabin boy slips from camp at night with a note in his waistband, words cut into thin wood. He kills. He will take the ship. He crawls across the shallows at low tide and collapses under Hayes' fire. The message survives. Micro-stories surface in later testimonies. A young girl, maybe 9, is held behind as the men march a group toward the south point. A soldier trailing the column palms half his bread into her hand and whispers, "Run when we turn." She runs. She lives to name names when the rescue comes. In a world of silence, that one choice breaks the pattern. Even as blood pools under coral, a different fever grips Cornelius' men. They dig. Between raids, they comb the dunes, prying up drift lines, probing for a chest that might buy them forgiveness or empire. Later digs find coins where they scratched, silver stippled through sand like fish scales. The missing chest stays a rumor with weight. One of his counselors starts boasting. When a sail appears, he says, they'll row out, hail it as survivors, then cut throats and take the deck. Muskets wait in hiding. Knives stay dry in their sheaths to save their edges. They think they'll own a hull again. They think the sea owes them a ship. But terror makes alliances. Beacon's victims start whispering across cook fires. Hayes's smoke speaks in patterns that only the desperate bother to learn. Women pass food to boys who carry warnings. Hayes gears up with driftwood shields, sharpened stakes, and a plan that assumes no help is real until it lands and speaks Dutch like a clerk. 2 islands, 2 futures, one built on fear, one built on wells and work, and on a horizon that might be salvation. A sail waits to test which story wins. The sail comes like a rumor that hardens into wood and canvas. Sardom. Pelzert found his way back by dead reckoning and stubborn guilt. He sees smoke signals and a crowd waving from Beacon's sand. Relief surges, then stalls. The pattern of smoke doesn't look like joy. It looks like warning. Cornelius is already a prisoner on the water island, bound and quiet under Hayes's watch. But his council moves without him. They drag boats to the edge and load muskets wrapped in oiled cloth. The plan is simple. Reach Sardam first, hail like survivors, swarm the deck, cut the lines, and own a new world. On the long strip, Hayes reads the same horizon and moves. He sends runners splashing through the shallows with flags and smoke pots. He tells every man who can stand to take a stake, a rock, a length of oar. If Sardam lands on Beacon first, the island dies again. If she lands here, there's a chance. The race to the ship is ugly. Cornelius's men row low, blades biting, a wild chant to keep rhythm. Hayes's crew fans out along the tide line, smoke thickening into an urgent script. Pelzert paces his deck, eyes narrowed, trying to decide which crowd is the trap. He commits late but right. Sardam throws a boat toward Hayes that makes the mutineers pivot. They veer to intercept and hit a line of surf where the sand bites back. In the confusion, Hayes's men close, shouting in hoarse Dutch, "Not survivors, murderers!" A musket bangs from the mutineer's boat. The ball skips off water and dies. Then Sardam's bowgun thunders once. The sea jumps. The sound hammers the beach. The mutineers break. What follows is a beachhead brawl with no romance. Pikes jam. Knives flash. A Sardam marine slams a butt into a jaw and hears teeth scatter. A mutineer trips, rolls, and reaches for a rock like it's a cradle. He doesn't get up. The volley from Sardam's men ashore turns the center. When it settles, the boats that were supposed to deliver a ship now hold prisoners. Hayes walks Cornelius out under guard, rope biting his wrists, eyes still bright. He doesn't beg. He doesn't confess. He studies the new deck like a chessboard. Pelzert steps down to the sand and takes in the smell. Rot, salt, smoke, blood. Witnesses pour words at him. Names, numbers, the missing, the dunes that eat truth. He listens until his face looks carved. Justice doesn't wait for a courthouse. There's no time and nowhere to send the worst of them. Sardam's crew rigs a gallows from a yard and a spar. The first trials are swift, depositions matched to witnesses, the accused given a moment to speak and wasting it on lies. 2 ringleaders get the company's special warning, right hand severed before the rope. The crowd doesn't cheer. The sand turns dark and the gulls circle wider. Others hang without ceremony, their shadows thin and straight on the dune face. Hayes and his men stand apart, exhausted and suddenly small. Pelzert acknowledges them with a nod that's almost a bow. He writes their deeds into the record with the same hand that signs death orders. Command returns, but not cleanly. Across these notes runs one stubborn thread. Jacobs. The skipper is captured later, slippery and silent, refusing to put guilt on paper. The record fades where his fate should harden. Some say he died under sentence, others that he slipped away into water or bush. The company preferred certainties. They didn't get one. A few mutineers aren't killed. They're marooned on the mainland, punishment and experiment. No one ever writes their return. What we know rests on a tight braid. VOC logs, survivor testimonies, bones from Gallows Island, coins sifted from sand. Pelsart recovers cargo, but the sealed chest's full accounting never settles. The dunes keep their habits. Even now, silver freckles the ground where men once dug with trembling hands. The final ledger can't fix a number for the dead. We can name the order of horror better than the total. A reef didn't create evil, it stripped away the buffers that kept it polite, then handed it thirst, knives, and time. Empires run on water and rules. Remove either, and a new empire forms overnight, built from fear and hunger. Coins still wash up. Archaeologists still map bones in fire circles. The missing chest keeps whispering. If this shook you, subscribe to Dark Ages Archive and watch our next chapter on maritime empires and collapse. Comment with the detail that unsettled you most. If you ever walk Beacon Island, don't dig alone.